joining BYU Sports Nation right now, former BYU receiver standout and now current CEO of Sky is the Limit. Deals with football training. Margin Hooks on the show, making his debut. Margin, welcome to BYU Sports Nation.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, you are joining us from Texas, and we're going to start with what's going on in your life right now. From the research that we've done with this Sky is the Limit football training, you're helping a bunch of Division I talented athletes go to the next level. What exactly are you doing with your business venture?
What I do in my business is actually teaching kids a college profile skill set beginning at a young age. And it is, like I said, it's just the basic fundamentals, and it's a process that they go through for at least a few months or maybe even a year to get to the point where they are a Division I talent.
Margin, what do you think separates you from other training facilities and programs out there in Texas and throughout the nation?
Well, one big difference to me is I don't do the big group training. I don't like having a lot of kids in one because everyone is different. So I like to give, individual attention to those kids. And the fact that not only do I work with receivers, but I work with DBs, quarterbacks. So I'm able to do both sides and bring in, the one-on-one ventures with DBs and receivers, also with quarterbacks. And another thing, what I'm teaching is what I lived and did. So it's not like I just looked at YouTube or, watched some other people do it. I made the mistakes as a player. So what I do is try to create the environment where they don't make as many mistakes as I did going through the ranks.
Margin Hooks, former BYU receiver, 5th all-time in receiving yards at just under 2,900 and 5th in receptions all-time at BYU with 183, joining us on BYU Sports Nation. Margin, what is the most important thing that you tell to a young athlete, whether he's wanting to go to BYU or not or another Division I program? What's the most important thing you tell to them when they start out and really want to make it to that level of college football?
I want them to be, be patient. There's one thing is be patient and be, true to the craft because everyone wants to happen. They want this thing to happen overnight. And it's just something that's built over time. Main thing is patience.
Margin, when you were going through your recruiting process, coming out of high school, being from Texas, black, not LDS, what were some of the reasons why you chose BYU over other schools? Well,
the thing is with BYU, honestly, I like the academic program, and to me, it was a pretty prestigious school academically. Then, when I was going into BYU, I'm a young guy, 17. The fact that they wore Nike, you'd be surprised at small things like that. They wore Nike. They were sponsored by Nike. And I'm from Waco, Texas. We were in a conference that was a WAC. Towards then, we had the Super Conference, and I got to go to Hawaii and play. So I'm like, man, I get to play football, I get to go to Hawaii, like vacation, doing where I live all in one. So that's kind of how they looked at it. Then they threw the ball, quite a bit. So, and when looking at the recruiting side of it, the coaches told me it was all seniors when I came in. I redshirted, and they said you'd have an opportunity to step on the field, you redshirt freshman year. And that's basically the course it took.
That's exactly why my cousin Joe Sampson came to BYU, because Hawaii was on the schedule. That was sold. He was it. That was it for him.
All about there. Nike and Hawaii.
All about Hawaii.
Hey, Nike and Hawaii, I was done. And we got to play Hawaii in November. So when it's cold in Utah, we got to leave and go to 80-degree weather and play. The only thing is when you're on the plane flying back, when you land, you got on lays and shorts and T-shirts, and all of a sudden you get back to Provo, and it's like 25 degrees and snowing. So it's like a still shock. It's like, what? Oh, man. So that was the only thing I didn't like about it. Other than that, I enjoyed it.
Margin, what would you tell a recruit or a kid that's getting recruited by BYU right now that is black, not LDS, and just some of your experiences that you had here when you were playing ball?
Well, what I would tell them is it's a different environment, and it prepares you in life because as a player and as a student there at BYU, I had to become what I call an amoeba. I had to be able to adjust to the lifestyle and life and just be different. And I was able to be successful while doing that. And that gives me the confidence that I can be successful in anything. If I can go into an environment at a young age where no one knew, not everyone, but they were different from me, and be able to accomplish the things I accomplished, get my graduate, get my degree, and still leave there as an outstanding citizen, things of that nature, I don't believe anything in the world can stop me.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, BYU recent signee to the football program, wide receiver Akile Davis, reached out to you and asked you about BYU. He ended up choosing the Cougar football program, and like you, he's from Texas, non-LDS, African-American. He's coming to Provo. What was that conversation like?
I mean, that was a random conversation. He called me out the blue, and I talked to him. And from the programs that he had that it offered, BYU honestly was the best program football-wise, and I told him that. And then I explained to him the nature of the BYU environment, how it was. I was just giving from my perspective. And I tell a lot of coaches, man, if you let me explain to those kids how it is, it's different because I'm seeing it the way that they see it the way I saw it. And it's a little easier if someone that looks in the mirror, when you look in the mirror and you look exactly like that person, not exactly, but you have some of the same features, it's kind of easier to trust me a little bit more than someone else who's kind of trying to sell them something. And I don't sell them BYU. I just tell them this is how it is. And you make a decision based upon that. Don't base upon I told you to go. And I didn't. I mean, I talked to him for like 20 minutes, and I didn't know. Next thing I know, someone was telling me he signed. And I'm like, oh, okay. But that had nothing to do with me telling him to go. I just gave him the honest truth. And then he latched on to me, and we, just built a relationship, and I started training him. And also I trained Michael Simon also. And I talk to those guys every day. I mean, they work out together, and I talk about just how it is in Utah, how it is in Provo, how the football program is, how the way of life is, how they, the things that they should look for, and the good things about it. Because a lot of people think that I would have negative things to say. I think, no, everything wasn't positive. They were things, I don't call them negative situations, they were learning situations that I had. And from that, is basically how I run my company, it's based on relationships and the trust, just shoot me straight. And that's how I do with the athletes. I have some athletes I tell, son, you're not D1. You're basically D2, D3. But you can go to school to get education. Everyone, and so in my profession and the company I have to be that way because everyone's not going to be D1. Everyone's not going to be D2, D3. But that doesn't mean you can't. If you want to work at this and your heart is into it, you can go somewhere and be able to play football on the next level and live the dream that you have.
Margin, I know BYU Sports Nation views you very fondly for your contribution to the program, one of the all-time great wide receivers. Let's end with this. What was your favorite memory at BYU? And please tell me it was not the bib jerseys that you wore in 99 and 2000.
Oh, no. I played in 4 different uniforms when I was at BYU. I was in that whole time frame with the changing uniforms. And the one time they said it's cool, they told me it was Cougar tan, like Cougar brown. I'm like, what? That is tan, right? I'm like, it's khaki. Oh, it's Cougar tan. What? I mean, that was like, wow. My fondest memory, oh, man, I have so many of them. I was just talking to Coach Francione yesterday. I had a couple kids working at Texas State, and he remembered me from playing there because New Mexico offered me, and I went to BYU. And he looked at me like, I hate the Cougars. He coached New Mexico at the time. And, I mean, we talked about Lavelle and different things of that nature, the games we had when I played against them, the different players we had. But my fondest, I remember I want to say it's my sophomore year. My parents would come every homecoming game. That was their thing. They would come to the homecoming game. I told them it's not like high school where the players are involved. I'm like, that's more of a money thing. The alumni with money come in. I'm just a pawn in this whole chess game. We're supposed to go out here and play and not be seen. So, I mean, it always coincided with my mom's birthday in October. And my mom told me, I said, Mom, what do you want for your birthday? And I'm getting ready to go buy a candle or something, And she looked at me and she's like, I want you to score a touchdown. And I'm looking at her like, what? And we're getting ready to play the Cal. The Bears, they were ranked number 5 in the nation defense-wise. They had Dale O'Neal, all these guys. My mom's telling me, okay, I want a touchdown. Mom, it's not like Little League where I can just go out there and run down the field. And I ended up scoring on a play. And they played it up on a commercial. And I say the big thing about it, when I caught the ball, I mean, it was one of my toughest. It wasn't a big deal. It was like a 20-yard touchdown. but it's one of the toughest catches I ever made. And I remember catching it and running over to the sideline, like jumping the little banner where it was, and blowing my mom a kiss and telling her happy birthday.
Nice.
That was one of my fondest memories right there in college at BYU. And like I said, there's plenty of them that I have. One day today I actually just left the BYU just did a satellite camp here with Oklahoma, UCLA, and San Francisco State. And I was just telling some guys, with Coach Simmons, who was the receiver coach at Oklahoma, was like my big brother at BYU. He was a linebacker there in that '96 season. So, and we were sitting there laughing and talking about some of the stuff we've seen and did. So, it was just it was good going down memory lane. I said one day I might just write a book, the side that people really don't know. And and mine is probably going to be different because again, I'm not LDS, African American dude, and I'm coming from inner city to there. My side and my perspective is going to be totally different.
Yep. And
maybe they can see the people in their world and say, well, maybe this is how people perceive us and see us. It's not bad, at all. But it's just different. That's all I can say. It's different. It's not bad. Entertainment environment, it's not bad. It's different. That's how I look at it.
Margin, if you write that book, Brian and I will be on the pre-order list. I can guarantee you that.
Yep.
I'll definitely give that list. I might have some cut-ups from some of the guys I still keep in contact with. I call them idiots. You guys are idiots. I was like the kosher one there. People laugh like, what? I was the calm one. Man, and the coaches there, I love the coaches staff. They were older group, but they let players just kind of, they let us be ourselves. We didn't have to just change. On the football field was like our sanctuary. We could be us. Off the field, we adjusted to the environment. But on the field, that's the one thing where we were protected. So on the practice field, man, the coach would sit there and just laugh at us. Some of the things we said and did, LaVelle, we'd sit there and laugh and mimic him. And, Coach French and Coach Reynolds, Coach Peller, Coach Bosco, Coach Lamb, Coach Mitchell, all those coaches, man. Coach Ramage, Coach Smith. They were wonderful guys. Wonderful guys.
We appreciate the time, Margin. Let's do this again soon.
Sure thing. Take care.
Margin Hooks, former BYU receiver great and CEO of Sky's the Limit football training on an individual basis. Mostly he worked heavily with Micah Simon, who was a quarterback coming out of high school but is now going to be a receiver here at BYU. And then you heard the story about Akile Davis. He says those guys on at least a weekly basis and is giving them instruction and telling them what to expect at BYU.
Great stuff, man. We should have asked him, what does it take to be an elite receiver?
Yes.
I don't know.
That's for the next conversation.
Blew my mind.